Do you know that in the year of 2025, there were still families in China's metropolis city of Shanghai that had to carry chamber pot every day? Yes, chamber pot. I didn't know about it until recently I learned that Shanghai announced that it finally says goodbye to the area of chamber pot this year. And this marks the end of a chapter lasted for over a century. The chamber pot issue came naturally with the city development of Shanghai. In the 1920s and 30s, the first round of the city's residential compound construction began with a fast growth in population, especially with people flocking into Shanghai from other parts of China or even overseas. The old lane houses or shikumen were designed without toilets back then due to the urban infrastructure conditions then. Then those houses built in the following decades of 1930s or 40s called new lane houses began to have toilets, but the number was still limited. And new villages built in the 1950s to 70s, mainly for factory workers, were usually designed with toilets and kitchens for each floor. So they were all for sharing. Here are the figures that echoes the different stages of residents' apartments. In 1949, about 80% of the 5 million people in Shanghai didn't have separate or individual household toilets, and they had to carry the chamber pot to the nearest public toilets or Nisol stations every morning. The campaign to eliminate the carrying the chamber pot era never stopped. And by 1994, there were still 700,000 people carrying the chamber pot. But if you take the fast-growing population, you would realize that the proportion was actually plummeting. And by 2022, the number shrank to 14,000 families. And here are the construction or upgrade solutions. Quite interesting. Number one, for families that can still make room for 1 square meter inside their houses or apartments, the engineers will set up a flush toilet. But if there's no room for water pipelines, a kind of electrically controlled biodegradable toilet can be installed. Number two, for houses that have no extra 1 square meter space, there were mainly two solutions. A, to build a mini toilet outside the house, usually 3 or 5 meters away from door to door. B, to relocate part of the family so as to free more space for the reconstruction for the rest of the families. And most importantly, the government would pay almost all the costs of such renovation and upgrades. We used to see the dazzling night lights of the Bund, the skylines of the modern architectures across the city. And here are there were few chances that we would look into the households in those old residential compounds dating back to 100 years ago. There might be similar old houses in your city. And how are the conditions now? And are there also campaigns to install individual kitchens and toilets for each apartment? Let me know if you have your observation.